You know who will never be in the middle, but always on top? Bette Midler.
That one might have broken me. Hi, welcome to Behind the Hype.
She always comes out on top.
You're not wrong.
There's nothing middling about Bette Midler.
We get it.
I don't get it.
Brian Dressel. With me as always is Cheery Darso.
Hi.
And Jonathan Hardesty.
Hi.
I'm so glad I didn't ask you before we got started.
You love my puns.
I mean,
my not quite puns.
They're not quite punny, but they're still pretty punny. Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, sometimes I always want to ask before we start the episode, what is it going to be? And then
I don't really ever think about it before you ask me.
That's the genius of it, though.
And I think this took you like the least amount of time to come up with. Like this one just happened.
Because her last name's Midler.
No, wait. Oh, I got it.
Oh, yeah, no.
The joke was received.
It's easy.
Yeah, joke understood and enjoyed and delighted in. But
Brian,
I can't wait to hear 3 more weeks of them.
John, I also have to tell you the thing that I said to my cousin.
Oh, God. This one's not even a pun.
Brian does not appreciate it as much as I wanted him to.
Okay.
Except I don't think anyone does.
We'll let the audience decide. This definitely has to do with the movie Ruthless People.
Well,
please.
My cousin decided to quit his job. I think he was working for a local TV station. I don't remember.
Working for a thing.
Yeah, in Louisiana. And now he's going to be working as a videographer for a paranormal investigator show. And I said, glow up, more like ghost up.
So many people are laughing right now. I bet people had to pull over on their way to work just to calm down from that zinger.
You know what? Imagine it
They had
was
to pull over for
said
something.
by, I forgot his name now.
Norm Macdonald?
Norm Macdonald. Norm Macdonald would appreciate my jokes.
You needed to spend like 10 more minutes
I
telling
don't
it.
have the delivery that he has.
I mean, only he did, so that's very fair.
But I think he'd appreciate them.
I mean, you might be right. Let's talk about Ruthless People.
Okay.
So here we are, starting week 1 of Bette Midler month, and our months now are just kind of like what I always thought they ended up being, which would be a random 4 weeks collection of episodes, which I'm sort of fine with.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of works for us, more scheduling wise, as we keep having to miss weeks for various shit, and
various shit.
We're sorry, but we're doing the best we can. We got an episode now. It's called Ruthless People, so let's talk about it. I was very unfamiliar with this movie. I knew of it. I knew I was going to see it at some point because I love the whole cast, or at least the cast that I was aware of. I was unaware of a lot of people in this, and I just never got around to it. And I'm very happy that I did. This was fucking great.
Yeah.
John, you're kind of the same boat, right?
Yeah, no, I had never heard of this movie before, but I knew that there was a movie out there where Judge Reinhold wore a clown mask.
That moment killed Brian.
Oh, God. And then you just got me, like, when I was taking a drink, that hiccup burp hurt.
Yeah, so hadn't heard of this movie at all and didn't know what to expect going in.
I had seen this on TV at some point as a child. I know that being it on television, I did not understand what was going on in that car. Because they definitely could not show the explicit nudity that they later on showed in this movie.
Right.
So I was just like, are they murdering her? Are they not? I don't know what's happening. I don't know how old I was. But other than that, as a child, even though I didn't understand half this movie, I loved this movie. And even today, I love this movie. Like, outside, even more as an adult. I think the thing that got me the most as a child was the design. Because it's so 80s.
It's very 80s.
Like, the 80s that you're like, did this 80s actually exist, 80s?
I mean, it did in the movies.
Yeah.
And then in real life, everyone was just on so much blow, they thought that's what it looked like.
Yeah. Instead, everything was just really brown.
Yeah.
This is your living room on blow.
But yeah, So I loved it as a child for unknown reasons, and now I love it as an adult for all the great reasons.
And Bette Midler.
Because it's a great movie. Yeah, and Bette Midler.
Do you want to do a very quick breakdown?
Sure.
As quickly as you can.
All right. So this movie's called Ruthless People. And in this movie, you got Danny DeVito. Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
But also kind of not.
But as far as we know, this is the precursor to Always Sunny in Philadelphia because he is a rich guy who hates his wife.
It works.
So Bette Midler is his wife. She gets abducted. There's a ransom. Danny DeVito doesn't care. And Judge Reinhold and I forget the woman's name who is his wife just don't quite know what to do about that. Helen Slater?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Danny DeVito's also cheating on his wife with this redhead, fiery redhead, who's dating Bill Pullman. And Bill Pullman is just amazing. Completely playing an idiot and doing a great job. So it's all a whole lot of like, who's trying to screw who? So, and Bill Pullman is dating the redhead, and him and her are also trying to kind of do a ransom thing, kind of blackmail. Everyone's trying to outmaneuver, blackmail, out being ruthless towards each other.
Yeah.
And none of them are very cooperative. None of them are particularly smart. And it all comes to a head at the end, where it all just kind of fits together in a cute little package.
Really does kind of button up nicely.
Yeah, because really, it's all because Bette Midler is very smart. And she knows exactly how to screw over her husband.
Yeah, she plays him like a fiddle.
Yeah. Like, even as a child, I freaking love the sequence when she's quote-unquote being tortured.
Yes. Ah!
Ah!
I could do the whole thing, just the whole episode. Just going, I love this Bette Midler part, and I love this Bette Midler part, and I love this, Judge Reinhold scene, I guess.
He's got multiple scenes.
He does. And
we can talk about him.
Just to get it out of the way, why I think this movie's been kind of unfortunately forgotten is I think all this stuff is very funny, and I think it all works together, but none of it is like for some reason, it just never rose to that level of like the funniest thing ever. And I think just because of that and the era it came out in, it was forgotten. Whereas like it's so good on its own merits, it doesn't need that one scene or that one sequence that have been like so memorable people to kept the movie in their head. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
Like,
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of the movies from this era were so popular, but they always kind of like have like one major thing or a couple major things. You're like, oh, that's my favorite moment from that movie. And I feel like Ruthless People is just good from beginning to end. So it never has that standout moment that makes you go back to it.
It also doesn't have any like particularly sexy moments, and it doesn't have.
What are you talking about?
And it doesn't
The
have.
car.
That's not a sexy moment. It's just funny. And there's no particularly violent moments either.
Yeah, for a movie called Ruthless People, they don't really do much.
Well, it's
They do a
also-
lot of plotting.
It's all about
Yeah.
who's actually ruthless, and that's one of the things I love about Judge Reinhold's character is he's not ruthless. He's just a guy who's trying to be bigger than he actually is, and then when he really goes for it at his retail job, he immediately feels bad
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
because he's a good guy.
He's a good guy. He just, he feels like he got screwed over.
Yeah, so he's trying to level the playing field, and then it turns out trying to level the playing field doesn't work when the person you're doing a ransom on doesn't love their wife.
Not only doesn't love their wife, was already planning on killing their wife.
Just-
Yeah.
Like, he was on his way to kill her, and then he gets there, he's like, oh, she's fucking gone. Bonus.
Yeah, I think another thing too is that compared to this director's other work, this one isn't as flashy, which is weird to say because it's pretty flashy. But
Yeah,
I mean, from the guy who did Top Secret, Airplane, Kentucky Fried Movie, Naked Gun, Basketball, all
It's a
those.
little more subdued.
Yeah, this one's more
It's-
subdued.
I wouldn't go with subdued. I'd go with grounded.
Yeah.
Grounded. Yeah, that seems better. And And I think that's what works ultimately, like why I liked it a lot, because this director is not very grounded, and there's a point where his work grates on me, and like I love some of the older stuff, like Airplane's hilarious, but after a while of watching it and years of watching it, you're just like, okay, it's a bit zany for my taste, whereas this is darkly comedic, and in a weird way, by being more grounded and not so outrageous. It kind of was outrageous from a plot standpoint. It kind of let the plot do the work for once.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. Like, it was kind of this weird, like, it's such a ridiculous movie. Like, it is just in and of itself, when you just kind of like break it down, like what happens, it's like this movie is just fucking nonsense, but it's played very straight, so it kind of, it's almost at odds with itself, but in like the best way possible.
It's almost like like British dry humor that you might find from IT Crowd or Black Books or something like that, where this is kind of an American version of it. The comedy is much more straightforward, much more serious about it, serious about itself. So it kind of creates this weird American dry, I guess.
Yeah, I can see it, especially like everything with the cops.
Yes,
because the cops are just, they're so willing and they're so innocent, and they're not actually that bad at their job. They're not great, but they're good. Is this what?
Don't worry about that. Just keep talking. Right?
I mean, they're pretty good at, doing a sting. Because especially at the end, when they specifically told Danny DeVito, no, we're not going to help you anymore. And then they just show up. And they are helping. And and in any other normal world, they would have gotten the guy. They would have gotten Judge Reinhold. But they were just kind of dumbfounded about it because they still wanted to find Bette Midler. And Bill Pullman shows up to try to rob him from robbing Danny DeVito.
What does he say exactly? I was trying to remember the exact line. Is it just, I'm robbing you, asshole?
Yeah. I'm robbing you, asshole. And Judge Reinhold is just like, what? Who are you? There's cops everywhere. And Bill Pullman just looks around and be like, no, there ain't. And even when the cops like shoot at him, he's just like, who shot at me?
Did you just shoot at me?
I think there's a look where
looking at the dumbest person alive.
His look when they first talk, and he's like, "What? Where?
Is it God talking to me right now?"
His fucking confidence when he goes in to rob him is just. It's easily my favorite part of the movie. Like we'll get to favorite moments later or favorite quote or whatever it is, but my God, like that entire sequence is just so like, are you just not paying attention?
He's dumb. He's a complete moron, and complete morons are rare.
I mean, that's true.
Well, and I love his, like, he's got dumb face, and I don't know how a nicer way to put it, but it's from a comedic standpoint. He can just stare straight ahead, slightly eye squinted, and you're like, oh, he's an idiot.
I wish Bill Pullman had leaned more into his comedic chops. Because with him in this movie and him in Spaceballs and every other time I've seen him do comedy, he's great.
Yeah. He had really good comedic timing. Yeah. Or has really good comedic timing. He just doesn't really do it.
And they never put him in comedies.
No.
They always keep wanting to... I mean, he was a great president. I know Brian disagrees, but I think he was a great president.
I do disagree. He was a good ghost.
When was he a ghost?
Casper.
I always forget
Papa
that
Ghost.
he ends up becoming a ghost at the end of that movie.
It's a weird movie. But you know who's always funny? And is also hysterically funny in this?
Bette Midler?
I was going to go with Danny DeVito. I was going to say Bette Midler for last. I mean, we're here to talk about Bette Midler, so we got to talk about Danny DeVito first. Get him out of the way.
Yeah.
Holy fuck, he's funny in this movie. And it's that perfect brand of Danny DeVito humor. And it's just, like, not recently anymore, but like in the past, like, what was it, 5 years ago, we went and saw a play with Danny DeVito in it just because it was Danny DeVito live on stage. Yeah. And it's like, how often are you get a chance to see this? You got to go see that. And there's just something special about the way he does comedy that is just so like aggressive and mean, and just like he's the shittiest person on screen no matter who's on screen with him, but you also love him and you can't stop laughing at almost everything he says.
He is like the most lovable piece of slime you could ever encounter. Like, because everything he does in this movie is just like, oh wow, this is so skeezy, so slimy, and you're like, but I'm kind of rooting for you in a weird way.
Like his entire like plot in this is just awful thing after awful thing. Like you're introduced as to the guy as he's on his way home to murder his wife. Like the whole reason things get bad for him at the end is because he left his old murder weapons out, and they're like, I'm gonna go plant some evidence on the. There's just evidence here.
There's just evidence here. Just the moment when the police chief who's trying to frame him just goes, really?
See, that's what I mean. Like, we can say this movie's grounded all we want, but it's so fucking ridiculous. But Danny DeVito just sells it in every scene. Like the phone calls between him and Judge Reinhold when they're trying to drive down the price. It just fucking killed me.
And it's even better because before they even have the discussion of bringing down the price on Bette Midler, he's telling a cop how much he hates bad salesmen. And the first sign of a bad salesman is someone who brings down the price.
It's just so well crafted of like, oh God, oh no. And then he just starts bringing down the price. He gets over to Bette Midler later, like, what's it down to now? About 10,000. What the hell? Am I on discount? Have I been kidnapped by Kmart? And I love that. I don't give a shit how he could have gone down to $10 and Danny DeVito's still like, nah, kill her. I'm happier with the $10.
Yeah, he doesn't want her back.
Oh my God. And he's just a joy in the whole movie as the worst thing ever. It's just so much fun. And I say this as a big It's Always Sunny fan. So like I love that version of Danny DeVito. But man, like seeing him do it when he's younger is just it's a special kind of fun.
You could see his trajectory in life.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, it's just interesting to see that It's Always Sunny thing going on, but with like you said, younger and energetic. Like when he's boasting to his side hustle, his side squeeze that he did it. She's kidnapped, but like there's a miscommunication between them, and he's just dancing around like, "Oh yeah, baby," and clicking his heels.
And I'm gonna do it to you. Just her going, what?
He just goes for gusto in that scene, and it's great.
Just that every misunderstanding in this movie is just baffling, but that one is just so good. All right, should we talk about Bette Midler?
Bette Midler.
Let's talk about Bette Midler.
Where they always like to be like, Bette Midler, she's out of shape. No, she's not.
I mean, they don't do that in Seinfeld. Seinfeld, she's a badass and tries to steal home, but then ends up,
that's true,
getting injured.
But it's the same sort of thing that they did in First Wives Club, when she's supposed to be like downy or homey and chubby and blah 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 blah. I'm like, y'all just put baggy clothes on her. Bette Midler's always been fit.
Yeah. And she's a badass.
Then she's a badass.
But like even just like being a badass in like beyond the fact that I'm pretty sure you can say she's unfit, she's going to kick the shit out of you. Her level of confidence, like it's magnetizing. Mm-hmm. Like she's so fucking energetic and she's so confident in like her comedy and her characters and stuff. Like it's so hard not to just sit back and enjoy. Yeah. When she's doing that whole spiel against to the kidnapper about what it's going to be like to get shot and killed, it fucking killed me. By the firing squad.
Sometimes they miss and they don't hit any major artery.
So you just lie there bleeding.
Well, and it's funny because again, not having any idea what this movie was going to be about, knowing Bette Midler for the most part, but not having seen a lot of her movies, her arrival to the movie pays off so well in this because everyone's like, Danny DeVito's like, I don't like her, she's a terror, I hate her, I want to kill her, and then she basically almost kills her kidnappers just for them to get her to the basement. So she's already been building up to this a reveal, and to have all that is just great. I don't know. I was delightfully surprised by every move that she made in this, and she paid off all the build up to her arrival. I don't know. She did such a great job with that.
She did, and it's just played off so well by Judge Reinhold and I forgot her name again, the wife. Because Judge Reinhold is just, he's faking it till he makes it. He doesn't really know what he's doing,
but he's never gonna make it.
Yeah.
You fake it, you make it. The intention is to eventually make it. Stood no fucking chance.
Because he's not that good at faking it. And his wife is just such a meek, innocent woman who definitely, this was not her idea. She just didn't have the gusto to tell her husband to stop. And, like, I'll say my favorite line right now. My favorite line is when she's cooking dinner and she's just talking to her husband, and she's like, and she's just so mean to me. And Judge Reinhold's like, you're her kidnapper. What do you think she's going to do?
You're a kidnapper. She's not supposed to like you.
And I just love, between her and Bette Midler, they're the polar opposites of, like, women, but then they end up bonding later in this movie as well, and it's just so fun to watch.
Yeah, I kind of hoped that they would bond. Like, again, just her meekness, their whole ineptitude as kidnappers. I was like, you know what would be really great is if they all became friends.
It's like, and especially the part when she lets Bette Midler go.
I let her go.
And Judge Reinhold is just like, what? But nothing compares to his astonishment after they're attacked by a serial killer that's going around town, and they've gotten rid of the serial killer, and then not even like missing a beat, Judge Reinhold just looks back at Bette Midler and goes, "You came back? Why?" It's just, they were meant for each other.
I mean, they really were. And the only person who knew it from the beginning was the how am I keep blanking on her name? Sandy. It was Sandy.
Yeah.
They can't remember the actor's name, but yeah, because she's the one who's like, oh, I want to be friends with Bette Midler. And Bette Midler's like, fuck you, you kidnapped me. Oh my god.
But they ran away to Paris together at the end of the movie. Maybe. Yeah. They're supposed to start a fashion line, which we didn't really talk about how much this movie revolves around fashion. Which is very much a ruthless industry to get into.
I mean, that's the whole reason why the kidnappers kidnap. Yeah,
because Sandy is a fashionista. She came up with an idea for spandex miniskirts, which our sensibilities today, I'm like, someone actually had to invent that? But and Danny DeVito stole that from her, and that's why they want to ransom off his wife.
And it's like, he stole that?
Yeah. But she's making all these other really cool outfits that Bette Midler falls in love with while she's still captive. And then they decide that they're going to go into business together. And it all works out in the end. You don't really know. Danny DeVito might be dead by the end because she does kick him off a pier.
I mean, he kind of, not necessarily deserve it, but...
You don't know if he landed on the sand or in the water.
He landed somewhere.
His character's just gone at that point.
Like we said, it's the prequel to It's Always Sunny, so he landed in Philadelphia.
Well, if it's a prequel to It's Always Sunny, then it's Frank. And as we all know, Frank doesn't sink. He just floats there. He just bobs there like an apple. So he'll be fine.
I do love that scene, though, where the cops are like, it's so great that they can make their marriage work, and she's punching the shit out of him. And that she's like, her physical comedy in that scene alone is worth the price of entry or admittance, I guess, if we were going to use a theater metaphor. But it was great.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like I'm saying that throughout this whole thing. I was like, this part's great. But
it's a great movie that a lot of people just forgot.
Yeah, no, it really is. And I think, after the last month we did of movies where we're just like, oof, like having like a legit, really good movie is like, ooh, that was nice.
A bit of whiplash having something so good after a month of something so not good.
Yeah, after a month of Ghost of Mars. Ooh.
I did tell a bunch of people to watch that at work.
Were you mad at them?
We were talking about whether or not there was going to be life outside of Earth and whether or not there's life on Mars. And one guy's like, we have stuff there. We've taken photos. There's no life on Mars. I'm like, we have 2 robots just kind of scurrying around on an entire planet. And you're telling me there's definitely no life on Mars?
I would love just to have like a wide cam of like a whole bunch of aliens just hiding behind the camera. Like, oh no, it's looking for us again. Just dance around it.
And they're not digging. Could be entire caverns underneath this rock.
I love that your argument against is there life on Mars is, have you seen Ghost of Mars?
Like, eventually got to Ghost of Mars.
Of course it did.
And no one knew what I was talking about.
Of course they did it.
No one knew that this movie even happened. So I'm like, you guys should go watch Ghost of Mars.
All right, let's talk about favorite quotes.
Sorry.
I gotta leave in the Ghost of Mars rant, though.
Not a rant. It's more of a guy who's saying there's definitive proof that there's no life currently on Mars. I'm like, please. We got 2 go-karts just running around. That doesn't mean shit. We get photos of scenery.
It's pretty easy to avoid a go-kart. All right. Oh my god. All right, I'll go first. I have my quote just kind of sitting here because I had a specific line that I wanted to remember, and it's a Judge Reinhold line, and it's one of those lines that only Judge Reinhold can say in the way that he can say them, as like that quintessential 80s like almost cool guy, but no. Sandy, it's over. Sam isn't gonna pay the ransom. He couldn't care less. I'm no criminal. I can't even sell retail. And that's legal. Just that sheer disappointment of like,
that's real.
That's legal. I love it.
I still love it when Sandy goes, she's just so mean to me. She's cooking and she's crying and I'm like, you're a kidnapper.
Oh, Judge Reinhold's just so frustrated.
I think for me, we mentioned it earlier in the episode here, the talking about the firing squad missing all the major arteries, but her delivery of and bleeding and bleeding and bleeding, and just the way she performed that, I thought was great.
That sequence is so goddamn funny. That's one of those things where like it's not the earliest thing in that movie, but it's pretty like maybe in the first third. But it's kind of like in Barb and Star when it gets to, like the conversation about Trish, where I'm like, oh, I do enjoy this movie. Oh, I really enjoy this movie. Ruthless People. It was that whole sequence there. Before that, I'm enjoying I'm along for the ride. I love everybody in this, and then I get to the bleeding. I'm like, oh no, this is a movie for me. I
think Ruthless People and Barb and Star could exist in the same universe.
Shared universe.
Yeah.
As much as I want to agree with you, I don't think there's anything that exists in the Barb and Star universe but Barb and Star. I could do a whole month on the Barb and Star, just that one movie. We'll just watch it 4 times in a row, and I'd be so fine with that. But
I'll do it.
The movie's
ridiculous.
That'd be a funny idea. Just take a different tack in our review each week of it.
Yeah. Welcome to Barb and Star month.
I'm trying to remember
watching all month long.
The quote of like seagulls listen to me or something. Was it?
Seagulls in the sand. Can you hear my prayer? Yeah. Oh no, I remember the movie very well. All right, double features.
Now I just want to watch this and watch Barb and Star.
Well, there's Chewy's. Do you want that to be your double feature? I'm fine with it.
Let me think if I can think of something better.
I'm not sure if you can, but it's a good one. I'm going to go with mine because I successfully didn't bring it up throughout the entire episode, and I'm so proud of myself. So my double feature this week will be, it's a bit of a jarring one, but it makes sense if you bear with me. So you're going to start with Ruthless People, and it's going to be the enjoyable romp that it is, and then you're going to watch Speed.
Okay.
Because the guy who shot Speed, or the guy who shot Ruthless People directed Speed, and I think that's fun.
You know what? Right. I would also do a double feature of this movie with Super Mario Brothers.
Oh God, why?
Because I think they could be in the same universe.
No.
Why not? That's just my sensibilities right there. do a top movies for Chewie to watch, and everyone's just like, oh god.
Why is Super Mario Brothers on here 10 times?
Followed by Ghost of Mars, and then.
Hey, I like Super Mario Brothers way more than I liked Ghost of Mars.
That's
Whoa,
not,
yeah.
That's not a big jump.
Wahoo! I'll go with, as a double feature, something that we've devoted a whole podcast to, a different podcast to. What we do. Just drew a blank.
It's just What We Do in the Shadows.
What We Do in the Shadows. Yes. Let me
the
start that
podcast
again.
title throwing you?
Yeah. I suddenly was like, where we're at in the shadows. I got really weird. Down that track.
When, where, and why We Do in the Shadows?
Yes. I got to shadows and I lost everything else. It's just like Control A, delete. So I'm going to go with What We Do in the Shadows. Just because I think there's something very similar in the way that they do their humor, just from a different area of the world. This is kind of an American dry humor, and then What We Do in the Shadows is very Taika and his thing. And yeah,
New Zealand.
Very New Zealand, yeah.
But I think they both managed to not get too far from, like, not too zany. I mean, What We Do in the Shadows is zany, but these both feel very similarly, like, reined in a bit, which makes them even funnier.
I mean, they both have somewhat competent, somewhat stupid cops in them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fuck, that part in What We Do in the Shadows with the we should kill them, or we could just let them keep walking around and pointing out other safety hazards. They've had pretty good safety tips. Fuck, it's a good movie. All right, next week. Well, next week is going to be Thanksgiving, so we're probably not going to release an episode next week. But the week after that,
in a future week, we will.
In a future week, the end of this year has gotten a little crazy. If you can't tell by our very sporadic release schedule. Wow, that was really hard to get out of my mouth. We're going to release these episodes as we can, is all I'm going to be able to say. Next episode, there we go.
Yeah.
Chewie's really excited for this one.
Mm.
On the edge of her seat, so happy to watch it.
Mm.
Beaches.
I'm not a fan of movies who exist just to make you cry.
How am I the only one in this show who's like, hell yeah, we're watching Beaches?
It's kind of like today when an episode of Medium stopped, and then for some reason the TV decided, you want to watch This Is Us. And I'm like, no, I don't.
Okay, I'll give you This Is Us. That just feel like, how do you want to cry this week?
I don't want to cry.
Have you got your tissues? I have a sad story for you.
Get out of here.
Well, that's Beaches. Here, I'll give you the very short
Would you like
synopsis.
some sad story?
Would you like some sad stories? A privileged rich debutante and a cynical struggling entertainer share a turbulent but strong childhood friendship over the years.
Oh.
Beaches.
And someone dies.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can see her in her deathbed, even in like the photo. Like, yeah, she just slowly dies over the course of the movie. It's a real knee slapper. That'll be next episode.
All right, hype.
We'll do a funny Bette Midler one after that. But this one is important. Like, it is like one of those quintessential Bette Midler movies, and you see how good of an actor she really can be. So there is a good reason to watch Beaches, and a good reason why I legitimately do enjoy it, besides the comically way too sad nature of it. I'm excited to watch it. Quick round of plugs. Say goodbye. For this show and every other show on the ATH Network, check out athpod.com. Over at Binge Buddies, we are kind of having a similar problem that we are over here at BTH, where release schedule is kind of little. But we are in the middle of season 2 of What We Do in the Shadows, and we're having so much fun talking about it. We have Brain Scrambles just came out recently, and then we have I'm blanking on the name of the next one. Just great episodes. They're a lot of fun. I forget the name of the actual episodes of the TV show, but we had so much fun talking about all of them, and we do every week. It's a blast.
I guess I'll plug Demon Days like I usually do. We had a good run before the holidays started to hit of week after week of exciting adventures in the Shadowfell as our heroes are uncovering dark secrets from their dark pasts. for a dark future.
Darkness,
But it's been
darkness.
It's been fun.
Black is back.
It's been fun to be back and just on a regular weekly schedule. And then the holidays hit, and so it'll be a little bit more sporadic, just getting us through Thanksgiving and then some of December and all that. But, you know, we'll get there.
We're always releasing content when we can.
Yep.
No, that's all that matters.
What? We have busy jobs and stuff.
And yeah, life
It's tough, man.
is chaos. Chaos is life.
I got nothing else. Should we just say bye?
Bleeding and bleeding. Bleeding.
See you later, bozos.